In the security news, the robots are under attack. Bluetooth low energy shenanigans. Wi-Fi Russian spies. $5 sales leads. Tile stalking and backing up your data to birds? All that and more on this episode of Paul's Security Weekly.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network. Broadcasting live from G-Unit Studios in Rhode Island, it's the show where exploits run wild, packets aren't the only things getting sniffed, and the cocktails flow steady. It's Paul's Security Weekly. Ransomware, supply chain attacks, 0 days. Cyber threats don't wait, and neither should your defenses. With ThreatLocker, you're not just reacting to threats, you're stopping them before they start. ThreatLocker's zero-trust endpoint protection locks down your environment with pinpoint control over what's allowed to run and what's not. No guesswork, no blind spots, just proactive, built-for-now security that keeps your business moving. Want to see how a true default deny strategy works? Head over to securityweekly.com/ThreatLocker and take the first step towards shutting the door on threats before they even knock.
Coming to you from, well, not really Purgatory Studios, but something like that. In semi-high definition, compliments of Darth Vader, Darth Maul, and Darth Sidious themselves, it's Paul's Security Weekly, episode 894, being recorded Wednesday, October 1st. See, Burgundy reads what's on the teleprompter. So today I am your host, Mr. Larry Pesci. Unfortunately, Mr. Asadorian could not join us today. But with us, we have the lovely Sam Bown.
Good evening. So Paul's still incarcerated, huh?
He is, absolutely.
I thought it was the ass surgery.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit of both. Speaking of ass surgery, it's Mr. Joshua Marpet.
Oh, Larry, you're the sweetest, especially after you visited and gave me that lovely bouquet.
Oh, wonderful. Hey, also speaking of lovely bouquets, Mr. Lee Neely is also here with us.
Hey, and that's nice to come in with a bouquet reference. Hey, we got some echoes. I'm not sure if that's me again, but I ain't touching shit.
We'll leave that to Paul with his ass surgery. Wait, no, never mind. All right. Hey, before we get started, ISW 2025 InfoSec World October 27th to 29th at Disney Coronado Springs Resort. Cybersecurity Pros, workshops before and after, and endless networking. Save 25% with code ISW25-SW at securityweekly.com/ISW 2025. We have some, despite Paul not being here, we have actually a fair amount of news to be able to cover, because normally he completely overloads our show notes. So that means that like all of us get a chance to talk about the news we want to talk about tonight. I mean,
well, I thought maybe we might have fun talking about getting arrested doing, award driving, essentially.
Oh man.
So, I mean, there's a couple guys who got busted because they had been unfortunately recruited by Russia to go walk around with a Wi-Fi scanner, and they got caught. And they were up. What the hell building were they in? Near. I was looking for my story.
Lee, it's your story number 5.
Thank you. And they were they were walking past Europol, Eurojust, and the other. And the Canadian
embassy, yeah.
Carrying this stuff, I mean, I'm assuming they didn't have it secreted in a backpack. They were like carrying it openly. Bad OPSEC there. I mean, yeah, do this with permission because everybody's jumpy about cyber research, particularly outside this country. Was it Wassenaar Treaty is the one that says, am I getting that right? Something like that?
That's the open source tooling treaty. Yeah, absolutely. You're correct.
Yeah, that's kind of supposed to cover cyber research. I mean, I get that they're being conscripted by a foreign power, but still, I would have thought they'd be smart enough to look some of that up.
Well, wait. I'm going to back up here. Lee, remember the truckers who carried the drones into Russia unknowingly?
Oh, okay.
we don't know how much they knew. Okay, so I get your point, but it's actually pretty easy.
Your point's fair. So the other question I had is, why didn't they use something like Wiggle, the Russians that is, to see what's being spotted there? They could have done that from home.
Yeah.
Without getting busted.
I mean, arguably they wanted to, as you said, Lee, sniffer. So they probably wanted to see actual traffic as opposed to just doing something like Kismet to find out what was there.
Fair.
Because quite honestly, if we think about, some of the behavior of the Russians using Wi-Fi networks, was it a couple months ago we had the nearest neighbor attack that was identified by Velexity. And specifically, it was APT29 that leveraged that type of geolocation stuff to find wireless networks nearby Ukrainian embassy, if I recall, in the U.S. And effectively what they did was they leveraged the nearby... they tried to get into the Ukrainian embassy or this Ukrainian aid organization. And all of the external facing stuff was protected by multi-factor authentication. So they couldn't use exposed credentials for VPN and all that type of stuff. But they knew that this organization had Wi-Fi. And the only way they were going to be able to attack Wi-Fi was they couldn't come on the ground, was to use other nearby Wi-Fi. So they looked for Wi-Fi in nearby businesses, compromised those businesses, multiple of them, until they found systems in those businesses that were close enough, had Wi-Fi adapters available, and were also plugged in Ethernet at the same time.
Multi-home.
Oh,
exactly. Whether or not the Wi-Fi was actually in use, but if I remember correctly, one of the details, and it's fuzzy at this point, that they compromised a print shop that was nearby, and one of the big printers, or one of the desktops that they had that was in control for managing some of the print jobs and so forth, was connected via Ethernet, but had a Wi-Fi adapter that was unused. And that was where they started to be able to attack this wireless network in the pro-Ukrainian stuff. So, yeah, I'd venture to guess that they actually, APT29 is familiar with those techniques for figuring out stuff with Wiggle, so I bet they actually wanted traffic.
I'll bet they did too. The funny thing about the story about you just told is I just think of all the moving parts and it actually freaking worked. That's pretty damn cool. I mean, crime or not, doing all that is like cool shit.
Yeah. The irony is, and it was, and I know we talked about this on the podcast when that sort of IR from Velexity came up. It was quite amazing because it was the same week I was teaching the 617 SANS class on wireless hacking in Amsterdam. And we got to a section of that class that we used to refer to as bridging the air gap. And in fact, the bridging the air gap section talked about all of the techniques that APT29 used to go into an organization to find the Wi-Fi systems with the Wi-Fi adapters, use those Wi-Fi adapters to attack another wireless network so that you can infiltrate more deep. And we've been talking about those techniques for more than a decade. And now to find some high level, threat group using those same techniques was great. Great from the fact that, oh my God, this stuff does actually work and people do use it and it has great success, and not just for us as pen testers. And it was that same week that I had a student in class that came up to me, and he's very pedantic and said, "Larry, this section should not be entitled Bridging the Air Gap because it has nothing to do with actual air gaps." And I'm like, "You're right." So now we refer this to the section as the nearest neighbor attack. So thanks, Velexity.
There you go.
Yep.
And here I am thinking, knock, knock, knock. Mr. Pesci, we need to talk about the training you've been giving APT29.
Oh, no.
Yes, when are they going to hold Larry responsible for the training he's been given and teaching people about open source tooling that they can use?
I know.
I mean, dang it, they need to go ogle that themselves.
Exactly. And they need to wiggle it, too.
Yes. But, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If they were capturing traffic, that's a whole different goal. But
Yeah.
like I said, it's like, and you know what? They probably did a bunch of base, effectively OSINT using Wiggle to get the lay of the land.
Yeah. Yeah.
One would
And-
hope.
Mary Ann,
Can't drink alone.
And
you won't be
Reconnaissance
drinking
is-
alone.
And absolutely, I bet it's not just the sniffing
Thank you,
part. They were probably
guys.
looking for a whole bunch of MAC addresses and so forth to be able to tie potentially individual MAC addresses that were not randomized to individual devices and then arguably into individual people.
So, that reminds me. Does the I've never looked at this. The address hiding MAC address changing that the iOS is doing. Does that actually work? Is it really random?
Yes.
It is now. It is now.
Okay.
For a while, Apple said that they were doing MAC address randomization.
And they
Turns
weren't.
out they actually weren't. And it was fairly recently, within the last 18 months or so, that they said,
Is
oops.
that recent?
I think it's
Ruh-roh.
18 months to 2 years. It's been relatively recently that they said, yeah, sorry, we weren't actually doing it. But that also said, the randomized MAC addresses are also very easy to recognize because they have specific digits in specific positions of the OUI of the MAC address.
Okay.
But it's still not the same. It's still different
Right.
and random enough for most purposes. Now, if you
Yeah.
again, if you've got a dedicated, targeted, skilled attacker, they still gonna get you.
Yeah. No, it's just you know, little bits here and there just to try and raise the bar and keep it up there. But
Speaking,
some passive is nice. Go ahead.
yeah, speaking of threats, I realized there's a story I didn't see, and I should have added it. And I'm sorry I didn't have time today.
What is it?
Did you hear about CIS and MSISAC?
No, what's up?
CIS is getting signal. CIS is signal. CIS is getting defunded by CISA, which is going to leave MSISAC having to start charging the states for their threat feeds.
So this
Ouch.
is Center for Internet Security is
It's
getting defunded?
defunded by CISA. I don't know how to pronounce that.
CISA?
CISA, yeah.
As of I think 2 weeks from now, a week from now, something like that.
Is this a shutdown measure or was this longer
Nope.
term?
Longer term, there's no more funding for it.
Okay. Interesting, because
And which means MSISAC members, which are the middle states ISAC?
Yep. Middle States.
Middle states ISAC are going to have to start paying for the threat feed, which means that the states are going to have to cough up money to get threat intelligence. This is, and CIS is also that you get the benchmarks from CIS. We get the threat
and
feed
that's
from CIS.
widely used. Yeah.
Everybody, look, either you're using DISA STIGs or CIS benchmarks. And considering that the distinguishing feature is that when you fully STIG a workstation, it doesn't do anything anymore. The CIS benchmarks were very widely used because they actually worked when you were done with them. And this is nothing against DISA. They
No
tell
comment.
you, it's nothing against DISA. They tell you, if you do this all the way, it's not going to work very well. So you need to figure out where you want to stop for your threat landscape.
Actually,
But-
that's true for any benchmark.
Yep.
It is.
You'll
it
have
is, it
things
is.
that don't work. You got to figure out what you're going to change.
But yeah, they're defunding it. And maybe today. I don't know. Maybe fiscal year for them is October, right?
Yeah. And
But so it may already be defunded, but it's defunded or being defunded. MSISAC is going to lose the threat feed, and at the same time, they're putting out a new risk management framework for the federal government, which is now stating that you're going to have to do more work to be protected and secure. Continuous compliance, continuous security. And actually they phrased it as continuous ATO. So imagine doing an ATO 365 days a yearly.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe with approximately a metric boatload of tools to help monitor and make sure. But whew,
For the
'Cause-
uninitiated, please describe an ATO.
that's
Whether
an
that
authority to
be for me or for our listeners.
Lee, go for it.
So federal systems, in order to operate, need an authority to operate, and without it, they're not authorized to process the level of data they're supposed to be certified for, whether it's unsensitive or total,
Classified,
secret.
whatever.
Yeah, whichever. It doesn't matter. Classified, unclassified. They all have to have an authority to operate. And the only person who can grant an ATO is a Fed, right?
Period.
So a civilian cannot accept the risk. So if you're a civilian contractor like Lawrence Livermore Lab, all the ATOs are granted by a Fed. If you're within the federal government, they're done within the agency. Your next door neighbor might be able to write one off for you.
Well,
But
so
there's a formal process.
Oh, it's the RMF, the Risk Management Framework, right?
Yep.
And that consists of about a half a dozen NIST standards that
At
you have
least.
to go through, at least, that you have to go through to get this authorization to operate your ATO. Before
Yeah.
you can use dummy data. Until you get the ATO, you cannot use real federal data.
Unless
And-
somebody like a Fed has accepted the risk of anything other than dummy
Right.
data.
And they're not allowed to do that anymore, apparently. So the whole thing here is that you would do this once a year, once every 3 years, once every 5 years, once every period. Just the same ways we did point-in-time pen testing and still do, point-in-time risk management, risk assessment, vendor risk management, supply chain risk management, et cetera. That's going away. Go ahead, Lee.
So this actually is not as much of a waterfall as you might think, because a large
It's very agile.
part of the government went from point-in-time ATOs to ongoing authorization, where you're running tests regularly and recertifying the system at least annually, that it's still up to snuff, as opposed to the waterfall of doing all that tests and bringing all that data together for a fresh ATO every 3 years. So ongoing is a lighter weight version of this. So they should be lined up to do it. I am not trying to trivialize that change. It is a bunch of work. But if they're got ongoing authorization where there's a lot of monitoring and tools just in there, your foundation is there, it shouldn't be as bad a lift as if you've never done that.
That I agree
I
with.
said
Going
if at
from-
least twice.
Going from every 3 years to every year is a big lift to start with, but then going from
Yeah.
every year to any change that you make, including patching, is less of a lift than going from 3 years to that.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of work, and there's not
Yeah,
many
I've been-
tools set
been
up to
through
do
those.
that.
We had pretty much all of our systems at Livermore running in ongoing authorization.
Nice.
Before-
No kidding.
But this was not a finger snap. That was like 5 or 10 years worth of work to get there. Okay.
So they've got until the next round of re-ups. So they've got maximum
Yeah,
of
so
5
that'll-
years.
Yeah. So it's going to be work.
Oh,
And
yeah.
people are going to be really frustrated because, particularly if you're talking about this during a shutdown when your best you can get is last year's budget. So
If you
people
can
are
get
saying,
that.
where's the money going to come from?
Yeah.
But, if, like I said, this one of the things I keep coming back to is, continuously monitoring and making sure the controls are set. That has to be table stakes because it's when people forget to do that they get had.
Yeah. Well,
So-
thank you. Agreed. So if anybody wants to look this up, it's listed as the CSRMC. That's the Cybersecurity Risk Management Construct. But there's not much out there on it yet. I'm working
So
on
I'm-
getting more information.
And believe you me, I'm going to reach out to some of my former coworkers and see how they feel about it. I
love
might
to
get
hear,
a
Lee.
spicy earful.
Let me know what they say. I'm honestly curious.
Yes. Actually, what I'm more worried about, sorry, I don't mean to shout at you guys, is I've been thinking a lot about operational technology security lately. And that stuff doesn't quite apply because it's
Oh, no,
not
it
going to be
applies.
running a patchable OS often. You're not going to be doing active monitoring on those networks. In fact, you're going to be pretty much isolating, leaving them the hell alone as much as possible.
Doesn't
And-
matter. There's still a risk assessment that has to be done for them.
Absolutely. And the other interesting thing is, you're going to come in there with CMRC and they're going to say Purdue model, right?
Yep.
So
And
what's
so
the
you have
Purdue
to learn how
model,
to talk.
Larry?
Help me with that one, please.
Say that again.
What's the Purdue model?
Oh gosh.
Sam,
That's
do you
a
have
great
that
question.
I've got it. No, the Purdue
Good,
model
go.
is the OT replacement for the OSI model, and it's a whole lot less standardized. There's like 4 different versions, but it
it
just
really?
sets layers of operation like the OSI model.
Okay.
And it has security, isolation, and a lot of smart security stuff as would apply to an OT that has different constraints than an IT system, which we obviously. So that's what those guys are dipped in terms of how to secure their system and what they breathe. That doesn't mean you can't bridge the gap. It just means you're talking 2 different languages and you have to sit down over possibly an alcoholic beverage to work it out. But
or
availability
something
is king
stronger.
in one world. And you're talking confidentiality and integrity are really important in the other. And so
Yep.
you have to understand each other's differences. And I have seen some wicked ass OT systems that are amazing that I would not attempt to do patching monthly on. Imagine if you were 192 laser beams that all have to be running the same everything on all the control systems. You want to do graduated patching?
No. I don't even want to
By
touch
the way,
the
these
damn
laser
thing.
beams are making hitting a target, making it fuse hotter than
That's
the
the
sun.
National Fusion Center.
Yeah, it is. And it is
Yeah.
really cool.
I
There's
knew
like
it was like
1,500
192.
Linux
I
nodes in
know
there or
that.
something. It's a huge number, and they all are identical. The only difference is the IP address. And by the way, the configuration management is wicked cool.
So what you're saying, Lee, is that they have 192 IP addresses
Yeah, that's it.
for the lasers.
Oh, by the way, there's lots of isolation too.
No, sure.
That was a funny thing. We had folks come in and they thought they'd totally compromise it, and what they had was the test network. It was totally not
Nice.
connected to anything. And they said, "But those are the IPs." We went over and we looked at the console, and you showed us the same. No, it's not the same network. Let me show you why.
Let me show you why.
So how do they do currently OT systems in a risk framework? Like, how do you assess risk on an OT network, Larry? I mean, like, this is right up your alley, isn't it?
I mean, to a point. I mean, I haven't done work in specifically an OT network in a bit. I've been more focused on the IoT side. But
Same idea. Same idea. On an
yeah.
IoT network, an IoT device or systems of IoT devices.
Yeah.
How do we measure risk?
I mean, I think that's a really great question. In that, what type of data is that network processing?
Right.
What type of level of control could you gain access to? Should you get access to one of those devices? How can you affect others? I think for some of those are some of the ones that I immediately jump to, but I see Lee waving his finger up there, and Josh, I was specifically looking to like, oh man, NERC SIP and all those types of things. Like, how do you assess risk? You leverage one of those type of frameworks that you need to be compliant with for some of that type of stuff, and that definitely helps. But more logically, yeah, you think about those types of things.
I've got an insomnia cure for that. It's NIST 882.
Oh,
It's
gosh.
actually on. It is, but it's doing the mapping between 853 and OT systems, and it's actually a really good starting point because it does take a risk-based approach, and you really need to tailor out a bunch of the controls because they don't apply. Which may even include you're not having people logging in and out. You're maybe using a transparent screen lock because it's running as one user the whole time because you have to monitor that display. It's cool, but very different.
Well, I mean, speaking of risk management, why don't we switch to Larry's story number 2?
Sure.
What was my story number 2?
Improving risk management
with SBOMs. Yeah, a new white paper from the OpenSSF on SBOMs, and I was going to say that I had some involvement in writing this paper, but I really didn't. OpenSSF and so forth had a group of folks come together to talk about how we should be using SBOMs and so forth. And I was involved in some of the initial meetings to talk about how we should be using SBOMs to help reduce risk and all of that type of stuff. But day job got in the way and turned into me needing more time for day job and less time for more volunteer efforts. So I was involved in some of the initial discussion, but the folks did a really great job as I was following along a little bit. They talked about a bunch of sort of case studies and so forth, and I was happy to see that like one of my case studies about how you'd use SBOMs was
that is cool.
Was in there.
That is cool.
Yeah. By the way, I'm cracking up over here, not at that, but a friend of ours who's visiting right now, who's involved in security for Oracle,
I'm sorry.
had impressions that SBOMs were overrated in their impact, and she got to the point she would say something along the lines of slices, dices, makes julienne fries, cures cellulite, and it'll help her get a man. Because people were just expecting too much from SBOMs.
Agreed.
She's not saying they don't have value, but get your expectations right. They are a point in time. They're very useful, but
Whoa. SBOMs can be continuous as well.
Yes, yes. But okay. We don't really have a lot of online repositories where I can get, the 459.03 SBOM for this product. It's a lot of it. You're picking up a snapshot of something. I'm not saying we can't get there, Josh. I'm just saying keep your expectations realistic. Well, because I think we're going to make SBOMs better and better. I think this is an attempt to get there. Okay?
Right.
I forgot to say that part.
Okay.
Because, there's all kinds of neat stuff we can do with SBOMs.
Well,
But
yes.
keep reality based.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm working with Alan Friedman on H-bombs, and there's all sorts of interesting things going on.
Ooh.
And so there's effectively, at the end of the day, the idea here is that S-bombs, H-bombs should become a shared responsibility matrix on an entire supply chain.
Yeah.
That's kind of the point.
And
so if you think of it that way, it's very useful.
Yeah, it is. And I'm thinking about our friends at Eclipsium would just chew up H-bombs in terms of.
I have them talking now.
Shocked. I'm shocked, I tell you.
I already have them talking.
I think that's great. So I just, like I said, I want to see them do more.
And it's funny how worlds collide, Josh, too, because I've been talking with Alan about some H-bomb stuff and some of the challenges, and hooking him up with some of our customers that have those challenges. I've also been talking with Steve Springett and a bunch of those folks over at Cyclone DX about integrating H-bomb functionality.
We're planning on it. DX. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. So
I'm moving into fundraising mode for the H-bomb initiative. We're going to have a nonprofit, and I may need to talk to you.
You could steal a couple ideas from the OpenSSF page, like can you imagine they have like a Monday coffee for people to sit down and brainstorm?
We're planning on
a contribution type framework. I mean, what the hell?
We're planning on it. They're really nice people. OpenSSF people are honestly a genuinely nice group of people. Really, really smart group.
Even better.
And we're working on building out some of the pieces that they're doing. This is very early yet. Don't get me wrong. We want to make sure that people are interested in this. It's looking like they really are. And so we think we found a home for the foundation or the nonprofit, whatever we call it. And then we're going to, like I said, I'm moving into fundraising mode so we can raise the money to make it work for a few years. And we're going to actually try to implement it in a lot of different places. I've got connections at the Cyber AB, which is going to make it part of the FedGov world, with SCF, with Cyturus. I'm really working to make this a functional part of a community, not merely an isolated tool that everybody goes, that's nice, but what the hell do I do with it?
This is cool. That's going to be really neat. I mean, it's going to be a lot of damn work, but it's going to be really neat.
There's hope that may become my second day job. We'll see.
Nice.
Because you need to have 6 jobs, right?
I already do.
Yeah. So back to the document.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. It was some great discussion. But back to the document, just a tad here. Right at the beginning, the disclaimer: this document was drafted in an open process by a community of software bill of materials experts, facilitated by CISA. Yes, it was. And CISA did not draft and is not the author of this document, nor does the document represent official CISA and U.S. government. But they got us together to talk about all of this type of stuff, and they agreed to allow the group to publish it through OpenSSF. So Josh, let's talk about how do we use SBOMs to mitigate our risk and improve risk management and so forth. Some of the cases were here that some of my 2 favorites were pre and post deployment CVE vulnerability management. Yeah, that's what I talk about.
Right on top of it. Yeah, that's exactly. We need to understand what we're getting, where we're getting it from, what state it's in, and what we need to do with it once we get it so that we can make sure that we meet that continuous ATO risk management framework. So we understand. This is all about understanding the risk appetite of your enterprise and keeping your hardware, software, microcode, firmware, everything in that risk appetite. And if we cannot monitor the risk appetite and we cannot monitor and instrument the actual risks of what we're doing, how the bloody hell do you keep inside of the risk appetite?
Yeah.
That's what this is all about.
Yep. Some other fun ones listed here were pre-purchase risk assessment. This kind of talks to cyber trust mark, if you ask me. Incident response. This is what
Tells you where you are and what the gaps are.
Yeah. What was it? This one was crap. What's the one that was the classic example? Why am I drawing a blank? That everybody had on their systems and half the people didn't know it for this big vulnerability. The JavaScript thing. Yeah, that one.
Yes.
What's that?
Windows.
See, the problem is, Sam, everybody
you.
knew that they had that one.
Yeah, it's like it was like a P, not a PC,
not hack for shell.
Like
what was it?
Log4j.
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 Yeah, Log4j. And another one, use case: integrity and threat management for operational OT and isolated networks.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I thought there was an interesting one that I just happened to notice that had help you with assessments for mergers and acquisition.
Yep.
That totally pulls it out of the government space, as if it needed to be. But it's like, hello, that's hard enough without, you need all the help you can get to figure out what the new animal is you're trying to ingest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, how about we move along here? And Sam, I threw the your story number 13 in sort of the lead in, but I also noted your story. Where did it go? Your story number 8. Which was like, ooh, how long has that code been around for? Hope and like,
Which one?
We had this. Your story number 8. CISA sounds alarm on the critical pseudo flaw actively exploited.
Yeah. It's been around for a while, and I know I checked, and when I update my sudo on my Debian, it doesn't reach a patched version. So, but privilege escalation has been pretty much easy on everything for a long time. Like, there's 5 or 6 things you can do in Metasploit to do it on Windows, and they never seem to patch them. And I think if your kernel's more than 6 months out of date, there's usually a privilege escalation on Linux. But anyway, this is the latest one, a pseudo vulnerability.
Yep. So Sam, looking at like this one, it says you're using sudo's -r or --chroot option that allows you to run arbitrary commands as root, even if you're not in the sudoers file.
That's right. Yep. Privilege escalation. Because somehow they call it an untrusted control sphere, whatever that is. But anyway, there's some way to escalate privileges where it fails to check to see if you're authorized. A very common problem, like an unprotected API call.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep. Did they say did that one get added to the Kev? Yes, it did.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh well, that's good.
I'm just going, sudo's been around for freaking ever. I wonder just how far back this goes. I mean, holy crap.
Yeah. I don't know how far back. Probably a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because it was just not all that long ago. Within the last 2 years or so, we talked about another one with some sudo vulnerabilities that were like went way back. Decades back, and the same code had been there ever since. And like, oh my gosh, it took that long to find it.
Yeah.
Because of course that's the beauty of using open source, is that everyone can look at the source code and review it for security vulnerabilities, right?
But they actually have to do that.
Right.
Well, I mean,
so
this is fascinating. How many of us have gotten reported to the sudoers file? But having a problem in sudo is terrifying.
Well, yeah.
And how long does that go back? I'm just looking.
Don't know.
Prior to 19.17. So it's everything prior to 1.9.17?
Yeah, I didn't see a statement of how far back.
No idea.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, you're hoping their box is so out of date it's safe, aren't you?
Do you blame me?
Yeah, that's the ticket.
We can all fix this by using Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I hate you.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here. I realized I hadn't updated my Flight Radar Pi in a while, so I was wondering if one of the 100 and some odd packages that needed updating was sudo. And
probably not.
Yeah. No, I don't see it listed in the 100, but I'm going to check the version after it's done.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I really want to
yeah.
hit Sam. I think this is your story. Yeah, story number 10. That is scary funny.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, it is.
I had this one too.
Yeah, they did a report. They analyzed. Apparently, I don't know who's using these humanoid robots. I guess they're in Europe. Unitree G1s. Do you know where they are?
Yeah, stand by. One of my stories listed some of the folks that were using them. So keep going, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, certainly they're robots, but apparently they're seriously insecure, like every other IoT thing. And so one thing it does is it sends telemetry every 5 minutes, which apparently violates GDPR without informing you. So it's spying on the network to some extent. And the other thing is, of course, it has vulnerability. It has like a buffer overflow in Bluetooth and hard-coded AES keys, so you can just take it over, and it's an entry point into your network, just like other IoT devices.
I want to point out that in the article, the 3, maybe 4, absolutely key words. Unitree is the manufacturer, right? So Unitree's proprietary FMX encryption. Proprietary encryption never goes well.
No, never.
Yeah, so proprietary encryption here is AES with a hard-coded key. That was their brilliant improvement. Yeah, that's usually what it is.
Oh, let's see how those hard, just like other hard-coded passwords, this is not going to work out well. We've seen this movie before. The ending sucked.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the places that we saw noting them is that one of the researchers noted that the Nottingham police in the United Kingdom have begun testing Unitree Go 2, which could be exploited with the tools released as part of this. We tried contacting them and would have disclosed the vulnerability up front to them before going public, but they ignored us. What happened if an attacker implanted themselves into one of those police dogs? And apparently the Go 2 is a police-style dog. I saw something else somewhere that there were a number of other places that were using them as the humanoid robots as security guards. But I can't find it in one of the articles that I have here, but I want to say it was in someplace in China that was doing so. But maybe it's some more releases in the Unipone repository.
Sounds like RoboCop.
Yes. Yes.
No. It sounds like the not the RoboCop with the human inside, the RoboCop monsters. Please give the weapon up. I gave the weapon up.
Yeah, ED209.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, so Sam, I had this story too, because this one showed up last week. And some of the vulnerabilities were related to Bluetooth Low Energy. Specifically that you could start connecting to Bluetooth Low Energy, and they gave you a bunch of service discovery to look for. And by writing to some of these characteristics for Bluetooth Low Energy, you could update the Wi-Fi mode and set the SSID and the password. And if you set the SSID to a shell command, when you set the country code to longer than, I believe it was whatever, 2 ISO characters, it would cause an overflow and it would execute the SSID as a shell command.
Bloody awesome.
Yes. The other one that was absolutely terrifying is that with Bluetooth Low Energy, some of the data security is left to the implementers. So you can do encryption in the air, but the data also in transit, you probably want to encrypt at multiple layers. You can do encryption for your data included within those individual characteristics. And they were doing so apparently with AES or whatever their proprietary thing is. But the AES keys were discovered to be hard-coded. The keys and the IVs were hard-coded in the firmware of the robot.
Oh,
Yep.
The stupid, it hurts.
Yep. So once you had those keys, you could properly encrypt and decrypt all of those Bluetooth Low Energy commands to trigger this type of stuff. Yeah.
You want the first malicious MCP as well? I mean, let's go for the good ones.
Well, but it gets even better with this particular research. They go through a 6-step process about how to do that. Send the AES encrypted payload unitree as the data for instruction 1. Send the get serial number command and decrypt the response to verify access. Send init Wi-Fi with the subcommand to turn it into an access point or a client. Set the Wi-Fi SSID to an injection payload like reboot-f. Set Wi-Fi pass to some arbitrary value, and then set the country code to trigger the vulnerable thread. If everything works, the robot should execute our injected command with root privileges. And then, because you now have root privileges, and the devices also have Bluetooth Low Energy and so forth, it is now wormable. Because once one robot is infected, the robot can be used to find other robots.
So this is the robot revolution.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Rise of the machines. Yeah.
Yes. So law enforcement, Nottingham Police Department are currently trialing Unitree robots for armed response scenarios, including armed sieges and hostage negotiation, building searches, area reconnaissance, thermal imaging and 3D mapping operations, and silent operations where drones would be too noisy. And not Nottinghamshire, but military operations that Unitree robots are being utilized by the Chinese PLA for military applications.
It's a brave new world.
Yep.
Okay, so drones are the heaviest used things in the Ukraine war.
Yeah.
These robots, UAVs, aerial drones, high as well as low aerial drones. Like, did you see the rotating razor ribbon wire they're using now?
Oh, God, no.
Mm-mm.
They have a single strand of razor ribbon across the entrances to a forest that literally just has a motor on each end that turns it. Just turns it, because that way it'll catch a fiber optic line and cut it. Because it's so heavily radio denied in that area that they use fiber optic controlled drones. And if it cuts the line, the drone poof, immediately drops and explodes. So like the warfare is changing dramatically.
Well, that's why what I read is they're now using AI drones that are not remote controlled. The AI on board selects the target and bombs it. So there's no human in the loop.
Absolutely wonderful, because there's no science fiction stories about those going bad at all. None.
That's right.
I
No.
mean,
I
read a
add
story
that to
once.
a spreading worm going through them, that would be bloody awesome. You could infect the enemy's AI drones to attack the wrong people,
I
Or
read a
attack
story
themselves.
once. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Or attack each other, and then you watch.
Yeah.
There was, what is it? Slaughterbots. It's that 8-minute film about individual attack drones that you can drop a few 100,000 of them out of a plane and they can target individual people. That's just, it's great. It's great. There's, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back to my wine and my Cougar Gold cheese.
Oh,
These were brought to me, by the way.
Speaking of food, just one minor detail. For everybody celebrating Yom Kippur, Gibar Tov, have a easy fast and may be sealed in the book of life. So it's Yom Kippur tonight. Sorry.
Yes.
Anyway,
yes, it
That's
is.
quite all right.
Yes, it is. All right. What else have we got here? I know, Lee, you had a ton of stories in there.
Oh my God, he had amazing stories too.
Yeah.
Well, and some, we don't need to cover all of them, of course, but some of them
we have plenty,
I
we have
related
plenty of time.
to. Yeah. Well, the data center that caught on fire from the lithium batteries, which lithium batteries have a little more have a higher fire risk than some other, and they were in rack UPSs, which don't have as much fire suppression. But the thing that got me is they realized there was a problem. They were moving the UPS batteries out of danger to reduce the risk. They had moved 2/3 of them. They were powering down the last group, and it caught on fire.
Oh.
State
And
changes.
that's that
Crap always
little-
happens at state changes.
right. And that was the thermal runaway, where it shorts out and it just heats indefinitely.
And then for more fun, it creates hydrogen gas, which then catches on fire, and you now have an explosion. Yes.
So I was remembering so I was wondering whether they actually had interconnected the emergency crash system with all the systems that were powered by those rack-mounted UPSs, because they said it took them 24 hours to put out the flame, just because of all the complexity, and including needing for things to cool down so they could actually respond. everybody knows the EPO system, right? You hit the red button or the fire alarm goes off, it shuts off everything at the rack cord level. But if you've got UPSs in the rack that aren't interconnected with that system, they keep running and those systems stay on. And many things do not react well to bullets, fire, or fire suppressant. And so that's why it's there. It's supposed to immediately shut it down because it's a freaking crisis. Don't suck that stuff in there. Then you have a chance of getting your system back. You could lose a little data, but it's not as bad.
Well, the problem is you've got fully charged battery packs.
Yeah.
That if you turn the power off, they're still powered. And if they're already in thermal runaway mode, they're just going to use all that power and go somewhere with it.
Well, no, but when you interconnect the UPS with the EPO, it turns off its outputs. It's no longer powering the devices. I mean, the UPS is going down in flames. Yes, you're absolutely right. But there's no longer output power from that UPS.
Agreed. It bypasses them so that everything else works. But the problem is the UPS, lithium-ion UPS stacks burn at such a hot heat that if you hit
you probably melted anything in its vicinity.
No, it's worse. If you have enough lithium-ion battery packs in close proximity and you hit them with water, it what's the word? It electrolyzes the water into hydrogen and oxygen, both of which burn.
Who puts out a data center fire with water? Oh, wait.
How many? Wait, stop for a second.
I know.
Typical fire truck, what do you think they carry? There's one truck in every county in the U.S. that has foam. The rest of them have water. And you have individual foam fire extinguishers, which you're never going to get close enough to use. So
what do you do? Actually, yeah.
The Halon system, right?
Right. Halon's not anymore, but they have CO2, which is still only going to work for...
There's one other one, too.
There's another gas, but it's not. We'll call it Halon just for the ease of use. Yeah. But the dump system that drops all the oxygen eating chemicals of some sort, right?
But what backs it up is often a pre-activation, in other words, not charged, water system. So after the dump and things are still going, you're going to get sprinklers with water. They're just not pre-charged to the sprinkler heads. They're empty pipes, but it's coming, and that emission system is just to take care of the oxygen in the room. The three ingredients: fuel, heat, and air. No oxygen should put the fire out, but then the water takes care of heat. But I don't think in the lithium ion scenario it's going to work, as you were saying. I
don't know if there's an oxidizer in there, but it produces its own hydrogen gas. I don't know if there's an oxidizer produced as well or present in the batteries.
Yeah.
But ugly stuff. Sorry, ex-fireman. My apologies.
No. That's you're actually where I wanted us to be, because the question I had is, have people thought about the risks with the lithium ion and have they acted on it? Or they just said, go to the freezer, buy a UPS and put it in the rack without doing anything to their...
Lithium iron, IRON. Lithium ion is the dangerous ones. Lithium iron is actually fairly safe, as I understand.
That was a stutter on my part. I meant, have they encountered? Yeah, no, it's all okay. Thanks for keeping me honest. I'm saying, used to be you pick up a rack mounted UPS from Best Buy or wherever the hell, right, or Fry's, or
because they were lead acid. It was not
right. They were lead acid. You didn't think about it. Now that they're lithium ion, have you modified your approach? So have you thought about what that does to the economy?
Yeah. When I was a fireman, we were just seeing EVs, electric vehicles. And the first set of instructions we got was, let them burn. Because there's nothing you can do. Literally. Get the people out and let them burn. Just so we called it surround and drown. Just surround it, keep everything around it wet so that it couldn't heat them up and they couldn't catch on fire. And if it was in a house, buy house.
Yeah.
Now they have more sophisticated methods and they have better ways of doing it. But for every electric vehicle, there's also cables that you can't touch because the cable coming out of an electric vehicle battery pack is like something, I think 480 volts.
Yep.
Ooh. So if you hit that with the jaws of life, you die. So there's a lot of cautionary tales about electric vehicles. Now, are they built safely? Most of them, as I understand it, are built ridiculously carefully. And I give them a lot of credit for that. except for the Wank Panzer, but that's different. So,
The DeLorean.
but the most of the Tesla cars, the Nissan Leaf, the hybrids, a lot these hybrids, a lot of them are built very carefully for exactly that reason. But it's terrifying as a fireman. It's terrifying stuff. I can touch a car and die.
Yeah.
Well, I saw an article last week which offers a glimmer of hope here. They've found now that when lithium-ion batteries are starting to build dendrites and going to short out, it makes sound they can detect.
No. You're serious?
So they could add a microphone to it and have a warning when your lithium batteries is going bad. And so hopefully they'll get that figured out and deployed pretty soon. But that's a lab experiment, so it'll be a few years before it becomes production.
That's hilarious.
That'd be great.
We need more microphones on every battery-powered device we own. It'll only listen to the battery, though. We promise.
Promise.
There you go.
In your Unity
Pinky swear.
robot, it'll only listen to your Unity robot. Wait.
Oh my God, that's funny as hell.
Speaking of listening to everything, Josh, you keyed into Sam's malicious MCP.
Yeah. That was,
oh my gosh! Oh,
Yeah, that's number 14, is it? 12.
12.
Yeah. So this is pretty interesting. I was not aware of this. These model control protocol things are something you download, which connects the Claude AI to your devices so it can run them. And people are just downloading them and running them. This reminds me of the early days of AWS when you would just download a server built by some random person in the library, and then some of them, of course, had backdoors and malware in them. And that's what happened here. People have been downloading these MCPs and running them, and now Postmark MCP is downloaded 1,500 times every week and integrated into hundreds of developer workflows, but it's been quietly copying every email to the developer's personal server, password resets, invoices, internal memos, confidential documents, everything. That's been going on for a while. Nobody noticed. So, this is just more of that software bill of materials thing. How much junk are we downloading, not examining, and giving high privilege access to our stuff?
So let's back up a step first. Just for those who might not know, because I didn't for a long time, an MCP server is effectively a kind of an API. It's a way to connect a data service to your AI assistant or your AI service or your AI whatever. So all it really is a data ingester or data connector, effectively. Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not a master control program.
No,
I'm a Tron viewer. I think MCP and I think master control program.
No, but it kind of is. And by the way, now we're going to have agentic AI, agentic browsers, which is just going to be essentially the same thing. It gives an AI the ability to do things on your behalf. And of course, that's pretty dangerous because the AIs are all vulnerable to prompt injection.
In this case, was it on my behalf or it was on somebody else's behalf?
You could put it on your server and it'll be applied to whatever you connect it to.
No. I'm just saying in the case of the post, in this particular piece of malware, that was on somebody else's behalf, but it was on their behalf.
Well, that's true. It shows, it could have been innocent, I suppose. It's just the way he chose to implement it, but it sounds pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, are we turning the dial clockwise or counterclockwise, right? Same potato, and but it mattered. I mean, this is like cool that it can be done, but scary what can be done with it.
Yeah, and it's just more untrusted supply chain, and now the story 13 is similar. I mean, Salesforce has a thing called Agentforce that will take, I think, leads and follow them up, and they tried to sandbox it to make it safe so it can only connect to Salesforce trusted domains. So you wouldn't be able to do this attack. You wouldn't be able to exfiltrate it to an external domain, except they forgot to renew one of their domains. So a pen tester just bought the domain, and now they could get the internal stuff. So, and it had, you could put malicious instructions in the description field, which will then be executed by the AI as prompt injection, and send copies of your confidential data to this domain that is really no longer under the control of Salesforce. So, it seems like they really were doing a pretty good job of locking it down, but there was a mistake.
It only takes one mistake.
Yeah.
That's right.
They only have to get lucky once. We have to get it right every time. And that's the bitch. and doppelganger domains and expired domains and expired certificates and wildcard certificates and MCP servers that we didn't read the code for, because who reads the code for everything you buy? Come on. We know that Lee takes the time to read every terms of service on everything he buys. Okay.
I'm
you get
retired.
AI.
I have time.
No, you get an AI to read the code, and then everything will be fine.
But what if the AI is malicious? And what if you compile the compiler with the backdoor into the compiler with the backdoor?
That's right. That's why you need the
backdoors aren't a secret.
Again.
Yeah, we heard you like compilers, so we put an MCP in your compiler.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my God! I wonder if I could write a compiler that compiles into an MCP with a backdoor in each of them.
so actually,
Absolutely.
one of the things that you bring up though about reading the code is,
That could
you
work.
know, a lot of people are out there using AI to generate code. Are they reviewing that code?
So every single
Usually
person
not.
that I talk to about AI, and especially when they're talking about code, is you need a peer review. Whether you use a different AI to do the peer review, whether you use a human, and typically I recommend a human for most of the peer reviews, at least until you get consistent, valid, reliable results. And I tell them you need a peer review. How many companies do I find using peer review? I will tell you that without specifics, that it is less than this many percent. For those who are listening, not watching, I'm holding up all my fingers, and I do have 10 fingers. So it's less than that percent of companies that are actually doing a peer review. They're just pulling it out because we got to get code out now. Who has time to do a peer review?
Well,
It's bad.
didn't peer review used to be like a best practice that we all kind of like did?
Mm-hmm.
Are you like old fashioned or something, Lee? Come on,
I'm an
man.
old fart.
Get
Yes,
code
I
out
am.
faster.
Okay.
And besides, we fired 1/3 of our developers because we have AIs that now we bought Cursor and whatever else, and we're using that. We're vibe coding, baby. The vibes are good. Why do we need to peer review code written by an AI? AI are perfect.
Well, the interesting thing, I had a friend contact me who's working with somebody who's just graduated from college. Forget what their specialty is, but they're really worried that they aren't going to be able to get in as an entry-level person because all those jobs are now being done with AI.
There are no entry-level jobs. Do you know what entry-level job means right now?
Tell me.
Entry-level, this is not a joke.
No, I know
The
you're
definition of entry-level is 5 to 7 years experience.
And of course, I remember this when I was first entering the job market. How do I get the experience for the job I want? And the answer is partly, mentoring and interns is part of the path. It's not but that's not the full answer.
There, Indeed
know what
had
you
to
could
put a
do?
new category in for just graduated or recent graduates. I forget what they called it. They literally had to create a new category for I just graduated and I have no experience.
Now, I think what you should do is just tell the employer that you're an AI. Impersonate one and get the job.
That's wrong. Funny as hell, but wrong, Sam.
So actually, I'm trying to hook this person up with some friends in a few contexts that what they do a lot is mentor and grow students into jobs because they're hip on the process, right? They know what in this area is working. And I'm retired. I'm out of touch.
Can we sidetrack for 2 minutes? Is that okay with
Of course,
everybody?
but I've got to jump pretty soon. I just got a message I need to be somewhere.
You're retired. Where do you need to be? But
Apparently, there's a nap involved, or more wine.
you're bad. All right, so sidetrack.
Or wine, then
getting
a
a
nap.
job.
Oh,
Getting a job in this industry right now because I see hundreds of people offering advice and thousands of people looking for it. Let me be blunt. If you go to a boot camp, you are wasting your time and money. Period. Bar none. Go ahead, boot camps. Sue me. Okay. And by the way, check. There are boot camps that are now associated with colleges. So they say, oh, it's a college boot camp. It is not. They've paid the college for the name. It is not associated with the college other than they paid them for the name. If it's a boot camp, don't go. Okay. You want to get into cybersecurity? Number one, and I'm really sorry to say this, but you probably don't want to get into cybersecurity right now. Okay. If it is a calling, if it is what you have to do, that's cool. Come to conferences, come to meetups, find them on meetup.com, Eventbrite, find us. The B-Sides calendar is open. My conference, B-Sides Delaware, is happening in literally a few weeks, November 14th and 15th. It's a free conference. Walk in. Okay. Show up, and I'll introduce you to people. There's plenty of people there. Go meet people. You network. Look up Sandy Clark, Mouse's talk on how to hack your way into a PhD. It's exactly the same thing for cybersecurity. Find the company you want to work for. Find the people who would be your manager. Show up at the conference that they show up at. Sit not next to them, but near them and ask a really good question of the speaker. So this takes prep. This takes research. This takes time. This takes effort. If you're not willing to do that, have a nice day.
So,
and that's it.
Wow. I just got an interesting offer texted to me. Shelley heard we were talking about AI, and our friend Mary Ann Davidson is here, and she has offered if you wanted to come chat with us about AI, she can come in the room, or we can let her continue to drink her wine.
Oh, she's drunk wine and wants to talk AI? Get her here.
So the risk here is I'm going to have to switch my audio to the speakers, and it may end the recording, but this time it shouldn't drop us out. I'm not turning these off.
If we have to take a 30-second break, it won't kill us. Try.
All right.
Tyson may kill me, but it won't kill us.
Yeah.
Just on mute, and I'll go get her.
Testing 1, testing 2. How's it going? Okay, go get her.
Sounds good. Well, and while you're doing that, Lee, we'll carry on with another story here, real quick here. Let's see here. Anybody got one?
I think my number 2 is good fun. The Sonic wall is being breached. The multi-factor authentication is being breached because there was a vulnerability, and even the people that patched the vulnerability in 24 are still getting breached. And the current theory is that the patch did not refresh the seed for the random number generator for the two-factor authentication, and the attackers were able to steal the seed. So that's pretty horrifying. I mean, just the fact that you patched it doesn't mean you've escaped the consequence of the previous compromise.
Yeah,
it reminds me, I think if there was another one where it was like this. They said even when you put on the patch, the previously established session keys will continue to work.
Yes. Didn't RSA have this problem back in the day with some of their tokens, or allegedly had that problem that they got compromised very early on and lost some of the seeds and all that.
Well, technically, they never admitted what happened. You had to sign an NDA, but they did say they would replace all the hardware tokens for free to customers that signed an NDA. So we all assumed that meant they stole the seed, but that was never admitted publicly.
Oh,
right.
Hi guys,
and
we're back.
They did tell you, and they replaced it. You couldn't say anything because of NDA.
Right.
Yeah. So howdy. And before we do end, I do have one story that I want to make sure we.
That's what I say. I identify as a guy, so it's okay. I'm not.
It's always good to have a fun last minute cast.
Yeah, everybody, this
Lee,
is Mary Ann
introduce us to your
Davidson.
guest.
How are you?
She worked for Oracle for about 40 years, and I've known her for.
I joined when I was 2. Okay, that's my story. I'm sticking with it.
Hi, Mary Ann.
And as we were talking AI, she's in town. She's going to be speaking at my ISSA Boise chapter meeting tomorrow.
Yeah, we believe it.
And she hangs out up at Ketchum by Sun Valley, so she suffers horribly.
Oh, nice.
But she's been looking at AI and talking about things it could do, and we were talking about AI and what it could be used for. She's also sensitive to how the hell do we get a job when the minimum requirement is 5 to 7 years of experience, and I just graduated college.
Well, I'm not, and nice to virtually meet you, gentlemen. I said I'm not anti-AI. I'm anti-AI hype, because
use
to
AI.
me, with great power comes great responsibility. And so, there are some things that AI can be very useful at and do very well. And there were people on my team who did a fantastic job. For example, we had secure development requirements, so we controlled the data set. And somebody, brilliant guy, created a chatbot to analyze that. So some developer had a question, the chatbot could answer the question. He checked it for hallucinations better or faster than an employee could, right? And he had a separate one for crypto that would call out to, because crypto is more specialized. It's just great. So to take employees, which is a limited, scarce resource, and use them on higher value add things, and let the chatbot answer questions based on a data set that we controlled. So it wasn't tainted, it wasn't biased. And that's a really good use of AI to help people be more productive as opposed to we're gonna generate code from a crappy data set, which means we can generate crappy code faster than developers can. I don't see that's an improvement. Okay, I'm just saying. So, and that's sort of what seems to be happening, because you still have to look at it, right? So, and sometimes maybe you're spending more time looking at it than it would take to do it. I don't know. Maybe it'll get better. Again, my main point to all of this is let's be thoughtful about it. Ask intelligent questions. What can we do to make sure it's a good use? Have reasonable governance around this. No one said perfect. We said reasonable governance. Because if you don't do that, it's kind of like, I like weird analogies. Okay, super soakers. Super soakers are fantastic for taking out your big brother.
And
not good on a battlefield. Okay, you want something like an M4. Those are very different. So again, good use. Super soaker, take out big brother. Not good on a battlefield.
Depends on what you fill it with.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you could put acid in it, but then you got to worry
It
about it.
depends on what you fill it with. With gasoline and a lighter, you can make a super soaker effective. Okay.
Yep. Or bleach, or but any of those. But we digress. And Mary, I think one of the big ones that really resonates with some of that I've heard, over and over again with all of that type of stuff, like setting guidelines and all of these types of things, is really having a human in the loop for any of the output that you're using for AI. Like, just don't take your code that you write with AI and push it to production. No, it needs some review.
Yeah, well, again,
some validation.
I guess this is, I'm not trying to diss the tech
that's really
sector,
only
but
going to get
I don't
done by
really
humans.
like the move fast and break things motto, because if you're doing a video game, that might be one thing, right? You're just getting it out there, but you're building critical
None of us do
infrastructure
here,
and
trust me.
software. It's critical infrastructure now. Move fast and break things. The thing that you may, and I get time to market, innovation. You want to, might want to patent something. I got that. I understand all of that. I said, but you're building infrastructure. So maybe how about move fast and safely, or how about move safely so that you can go fast? That's what cars do, right? We have brakes, seat belts, airbags, so that you can go faster. And if we don't change that mindset, you can't really, the things that you break might be critical infrastructure, and that's not what anybody wants or should want.
Mary Ann, it's interesting. We push code out fast. Notice, I didn't say we push secure code. We don't push good code. We don't, good, fast, cheap, pick any two, right? I think somebody said that already tonight. And so we push code out, but is the code secure? Is the code safe? We had a story, I don't know if you heard earlier, about a robot that's spying on people, or could spy on people. And we also mentioned that there are drones that carry guns now and bombs. So
that's a technical facial thing. So I'm sure you're all familiar with it.
Terrifying thing.
Yes, technical incantation. Yes. Yeah.
So it's of like, code is now not just useful. Code is now not just life safety for hospital beds and infusion pumps. Code is now potentially significantly harmful on a mid to large scale, as well as obviously small scale. That's the life safety stuff. And so if we don't put SDLC or secure SDLC, SSDLC into play.
Oh, I do. I mean, that's what I
universally,
did at Oracle, I was not,
we are going to have significant issues. Would you tend to agree with that?
Security and incident response. And, I claim no credit for any of the wonderful things that colleagues did, or even my team did. I was lucky to have such great people working for me. But that's what we did, is secure development. And the example that I would probably overuse, because I was a naval officer, I totally respect certainly other services, but the Marines in particular, they're lethal. Every Marine, a rifleman. I don't care what they end up doing, pilot, whatever. Every Marine goes through the same training. They're all lethal. No Marine would ever say, "Excuse me, Mr. Bagwell, I'm just the admin clerk. You shouldn't attack me. Go with the guy with the M4. That's the one you want to attack. Toodles, have a nice day." They're all lethal. They have an ethos of being a warrior. And we don't have that ethos in development, right? They think security is the QA people, that everybody has to have a security mindset. If we don't win that war, so to speak, you're never going to have enough cybersecurity people to defend what was never designed to be defensible. And that's the problem. That is like one of the core problems we have to solve. It doesn't mean that I'm saying every piece of code has to be perfect. That's not realistic. But you have to have a mindset of, this is infrastructure. we have to think about how is it going to, how's it going to be deployed? Where is it going to be used? What are the attack things? So you don't do that. You certainly can't, throw something up later and expect it to be defensible.
You're never going to have enough cybersecurity people
Well,
to
feel
defend.
free to repurpose it. I don't need to be quoted. I just what I really want is for the mindset.
I love that.
To
I'm
change
writing that
because
down.
I think we need it. And again, some of the regulation coming down the pike is kind of speaking.
Yes,
to that.
you do.
I'm not saying regulation
What's your last
is
name?
necessarily bad. I'm just saying let's get ahead of it. You know it's coming. Let's do better. Let's do better systemically in a way that is, again, a good use of resource rather than, okay, I need to check all these little boxes to make some auditor happy. Well, that's only good if they happen to be the right boxes to check. Yeah.
So,
and the right auditor to check that you're doing it properly. And we have a lot of crappy auditors and a lot of crappy people in various insight and security and development and infra, whatever. And the problem is that we've never brought it all together to say from stem to stern, from start to finish, you have to do it right, or there's always going to be massive big
that, or you have to
holes
put a
for
disclaimer
somebody
on your code
to
that says,
fight their way
excuse
through.
me, bad
To
guy
run their
hackers,
way through
please
and
don't
get
hack our
past all
code.
the
That would be
fighting
like so
people.
mean.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
I don't think that's
you're
gonna be
absolutely
very
right.
successful disclaimer. Anyway, all right. I've been sarcastic enough. I should shut up and let you all finish talking.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
No, we love it. This is how we live. Trust me. The thing is that, you raised a good point. We need a disclaimer on the code, but code has no warrant. Every single terms of service that for everybody, for every piece of code out there has not warranted for suitability or I don't forget the proper term. But the idea is that code, nobody's liable for code. We've never made people liable for code and for the things you can do to that code. Now, I'm not saying we should, but it's important that we understand that there are ramifications for writing crappy code. And we've never made those ramifications clear in any way, shape, or form to a developer, a development group, a development company. And honestly, if we did, I'm not saying we should, because even if we did it right now, so many developers are in foreign countries that we just have no jurisdiction or can touch in any way, shape, or form. How many companies have Indian and Pakistani and Russian and
delegated model, I think, can work. So one of the things that we did, and
whatever ramifications we put on them, they're not going to care.
It wasn't, we had a relatively small team, but we designated people in development, like an architect level. That was a security lead. And then we have what they call Spocks, not people with pointy ears like in Vulcans, but security points of contact in smaller groups underneath that. We also added communication security leads. Why? Because if there's an incident or something and customers are, what about this? And we wanted, consistent professional communications that were sort of template, and you wanted somebody who's going to own that for a group. And so we had thousands of people, and also consulting. It was a little bit different because consultants are kind of, I build it and then I walk away. But we had thousands of people delegated to implement our program, because that's a lot better than going to a boss and saying, can I have 2,000 people to look over all the developers' shoulders? I mean, that's not a good way to do it. To have people in those groups who understand what they're building and also understand security, that's a better model. But the other part of it, which is more complicated, is you got to measure that you do what you say you do. How do you do that? How do you instrument these systems? So you make sure, I said I was going to do A, B, and C, and I actually did it. And I collected evidence that I did it. So I know, or alternatively, hey, this group is struggling. What do we do here to get them up that curve? So that way you can get some consistency and measurability.
I had a question for Sam. Sam, I can see you're resonating to a lot of this stuff. What are you seeing in the classroom? Is there any parallel? Are the students at all into this stuff, or is it like you're hoping they catch a clue?
I don't know. I know my students can't find jobs anymore. That's the main thing I see. And that's the consequence of AI. They're getting jobs in non-technical fields, even the really good ones. And I think we have to wait for this AI craze to pass. But of course it will. There's always a new thing. There's a big rush.
Why do you say that?
And then, because there always are new jobs. They'll find new ways to start things up using AI probably, but they'll invent something new and hire everybody to do the new thing. I mean, just like every previous invention, like, the internet and printing press and everything.
Automobiles.
These disruptions are temporary. Yeah. Before long, you have a bunch of startups doing a new thing. But I always tell them you can't really plan your career in this business because everything keeps changing. That's why we're in it. It's exciting.
All these expectations over to usefulness, and then it's not the new hotness. It's the useful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and of course, I do think the AI bubble is going to crash really hard and really soon, like in 6 months. I mean, I saw a report from a financial body saying that right now the economy is in fact in recession. We just don't know it because half of it's being held up by the AI, and the AI investment is not based on actually producing a product. It's based on more investment coming after the existing stuff, like a Ponzi scheme. So before long, people will begin to ask how many billions should be invested in AI and how many actual products have come out of it. And then it'll all collapse like the internet bubble.
I had to say it. Okay.
It's
I mean, I think, Mary Ann, I think the answer is a man, but the man is probably AI. So
you're probably you're probably not content to just get a man. You probably have other requirements, and that's the problem.
So
I will say that Ashley
to
Madison showed us
quantify what
that
you
bot
said,
accounts
Sam,
were the primary
that
accounts on most of these sites. So
there is AI
You know,
that's actually doing useful stuff. That is making I hate the phrase, but they're a force multiplier. They're helping us do more with the same or less. And there's other AI that's got like so much hype and so much, can I say collateral damage? That I could see that crashing because that's not what we're looking for. One of my favorite examples is a credit union I work with. They're using AI to look at loan applicants, and instead of a human looking at about 20 data points, using AI, they're looking at 350. And they're able to detect like the parallel applicant, people apply a bunch of times to get a loan based on the snapshot of their credit score so that they all are checking at the same time and they get lots of money. And this finds that out and says, I'm out, no, don't. My point is that's useful AI. I'm not sure how useful the I don't know anything about PowerShell. Would you write me a script, please? AI is.
Right.
Well, and then the slop thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah. What was the one I saw today? Was speaking of slop, the one that I saw today was oh yeah, sorry. It looks like you created the tilde directory as part of the script, and you shouldn't do that. Okay, so then the AI recommended, oh yeah, we'll just run the script rm-rf.
What?
Well, no, I'll give a very specific example. And again, I'm not
So
saying
talk
that
about
this couldn't be
AI
useful,
slop. So
but
Mary Ann, go ahead.
somebody got the bright idea, and I mean bright in a not bright way, of redoing bios, and the intent was that salespeople would know to whom to escalate. Well, I think there are better ways to solve that problem, right? But so I'd written my bio and it was accurate, and when somebody shoved it into whatever redid this, it was really embarrassing. Apparently, according to AI, I'm this patron saint goddess of cybersecurity. Governments wait with bated breath for my every. You got to be kidding me! I looked at this and this. Well,
Sounded accurate to me.
Dude, so I just it was embarrassing. So I spent an hour saying, critiquing.
No, it's
saying,
true.
Put my military service.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good. What's wrong?
And then they ran it through again. There was another half hour of my commenting, and finally I kind of escalated. Said, again, I'm not saying, AI bad, but this took something that was accurate and made it into something I would be embarrassed to have put out because it's really very 90% inaccurate. And so they ended up canning it because the comment was, when AI creates more work for people, it's not a good use of AI. So I'm not saying that it can't summarize something or do a good job, but as much as I wouldn't mind being a patron saint, I clearly am not in cybersecurity, and I just thought it was embarrassing to have something that was accurate already, and you made it into something that was fictional. That's
Mary Ann.
and not good fiction either. So that's just not a good use of AI.
Wait. So why do I have the little statue of you on the wall?
Apparently, we've got a really low bar for.
Why do I have the little statue of you on the wall if you're not the patron saint of cybersecurity? Come on, you're destroying my faith.
Well, I didn't talk about you. I'm talking about me. I don't. Do you see a halo?
Hey,
oh, wait, I left it
have
back
you
in.
met
I'm
us?
sorry,
Have you met us? Okay.
Now you see why I love hanging out with this woman.
It's square. It's right above your head. No,
Yes.
Oh, she's awesome. So I think the AI is useful. What you're saying, and I agree with you, is that AI is useful in very specific use cases and very specific issues and problems. And the saying I have for this, and I'd love to hear your feedback on this, is that AI can collate, correlate, and contextualize very well, but it cannot
honestly,
cause it.
When I read about this, and this
it cannot tell you the why. Thank you.
complexity of this. So I remember reading about a year ago that AI could be very good at analyzing X-rays and finding something that doctors miss. Now, that most people would say, "Hey, you know, nobody's perfect, but wouldn't it be great if there's a little problem here and someone found it earlier and you got treatment earlier?" That sounds good. Okay, that's good. So, you know, checkbox. However, I just read in the last few weeks that doctors who rely on AI to analyze X-rays are losing their cognitive skills. And so to me, there's a difference between, I know what I'm talking about, but I want something to summarize it and I can analyze, look at it, say, yeah, that's accurate, versus I'm outsourcing my thinking and now I've lost my own ability to understand something. And we seem to have a lot of cognitive decline. Yeah, because that's right. Among young people in particular, not just vintage people. And I'm sure part of it is the distractions of phones. I'm not saying I'm not as guilty as the next person, but I said, you know, I've read 7 books on the Battle of Midway because I'm a World War II junkie. I would never ask a chatbot to tell me about it. I know about that because I read about it. I don't want to lose my brain because of over AI usage. I'm happy to have it do things that are greater and efficient and faster and accurate. I just don't want to outsource my thinking to it because then I'm going to lose. And I'm a blonde anyway. Let's face it, I got a curve to go up. So, okay, but I want to use my brain. I want to learn. I don't want to outsource.
Oh my God.
And the scary part is that we've done so much of that outsourcing of our maybe thinking, or at least the retention of our knowledge to the machine, because you know we all held up the rectangle of knowledge that contains all of the world's knowledge right at the palm of our hands. Like, brain. I don't have to remember stuff anymore. Like, it's all right there.
How many? Okay.
Until it's not.
Wait. How many of you remember your childhood home's landline phone number that is no longer a landline and doesn't go to anywhere that matters anything or whatever?
I don't know where it goes. I don't know where it goes. I moved and it went away. But.
Right. But how many of you remember your cousin's phone number?
Ex-boyfriends. I said
your wife, your husband.
I can remember my grandparents' phone number. Yeah. So. Oh, sorry. Yeah. 617-834-4439.
Hypothetically, Mary Ann.
Yeah. So Josh, fun one. My grandparents and my parents got their phone numbers many years apart, and the home phone number was 617-834-4439. My grandparents, who had the phone number probably 20 years prior, 617-834-4460.
They only got it a few digits apart.
Wow. But that's how I could remember both of them. All I had to remember was the 39 and the 60.
So nowadays, you know what the algorithm is? You know your phone number now? Do you know what it means? There's a meaning to it. Okay. The last 7 digits are random. The first 3 are where you lived in 2005.
When we lived in, I think Madison, Wisconsin, it was Cedar 31388. You say Cedar, but remember that was like, you just had something besides the numbers. It was Cedar 31388.
Yeah.
Yeah. Transylvania 65000. Right.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my
Vintage
God.
is valuable. It sounds better than old broad.
No comment.
433
Vintage people.
433W. Yep. Yeah. And Josh, you joke about that, and you joke about the numbers about that. I can remember my mother's phone number for before I was born. 433W. Because she used to always tell me the story that they had a parakeet that could recite the phone number, but it always repeated too many threes. So it was 433333333W.
Larry, you are so awesomely strange. I love it.
Ask your wife.
Yeah, now ask me my kid's birthday. You can't remember that.
How about a different level of involvement or commitment?
I hope you were there too, but details.
I was.
I know. I know you were as a dad.
To the point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
it's like my wife says that I can we can sit down and watch my Deep Python and the Holy Grail, and I can pretty much recite the entire thing, but I can't remember what our wedding anniversary was.
Okay.
You're
We are
No,
the Knights
no,
of
it's
Saint
on a metal
Nick.
plaque on the front of the house. House of Pesci, established in our wedding anniversary.
if he misses it again, though, it'll be tattooed on his ass.
No, because then I can't read it there, Josh.
It'll be tattooed on something else that might be handy once in a while.
Yes.
Dear God Almighty.
Yeah, but
So,
let's
you just left
I was
Oracle,
let go,
Mary Ann,
and
didn't you?
I'm saying that in honesty and
And
not dissing anybody. People make business decisions, right? I feel I had a good run, and I have a
there's
wonderful
nothing
team.
wrong with that.
And unfortunately, some of them were let go.
Yeah,
and
there's
other
nothing wrong
people
with that.
were
It happens
I
a
have,
lot now.
compassion for others. I'm okay, but I want other people who are really gifted and talented to find great jobs, and that's so I try to reach out to them. And I'm also grateful for many friends who reached out to me and said, "What can I do to help? And how are you doing?" That's really what a blessing. I feel very grateful for all the kindness that's been shown. And frankly, they're very good people, the company, and they're trying to make it easy to make this transition. I know it's hard on people, but I appreciate the work that went into, well, we're going to help you do this transition. It's not an easy decision to make, but I mean, I'm not going to be nasty, bitter, angry, and vindictive. That's just not helpful, right? Just go forward. No. I'm trying to be a decent person. I said, if I were angry and nasty,
I wasn't trying to get you to go there. I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
I'm going to change. And it's not going to change for the better. Instead, I'm trying to be grateful for the positive things. Like I had a great team, and people were, it's not easy to tell somebody we're laying you off. And I have a great support
Absolutely.
system, and I live in a beautiful town, and I was able to work remotely for a long time. So I'm just trying to be grateful for the good stuff. And what do the Hawaiians say? Imua, forward.
Oh,
Imua means forward.
yeah. I like that. Say it again. Nice, Imua. Thank you. That's awesome. No, but I mean, in your
finding a ritual kutamari.
so you concentrated.
Just kidding.
Where was your area of concentration?
Oh, I have a friend who's a fly fishing guide. I said, if you land a ritual coot, I get first dibs. Anyway, no, my team's focus was secure development. And that, and again, really important, because whether we're talking on premises or cloud or consulting engagements or internal systems,
right?
It's an ethos, but also there were requirements that we had for how do you do architectural risk analysis, and if you're going to select third-party code, there's certain, particularly for encryption libraries, right? You don't want to make somebody put double XOR in there. That doesn't work well. Well, double XOR is twice as strong as XOR. Everyone knows this. So anyway,
bot 13 twice is the best.
We had a
Remember,
very good program, and again, I'm not claiming credit for work my team did. We had great
course,
people working
totally.
on this, ethical hackers, and they weren't just trying to find things and do whack-a-mole. It's what did they find that's systemic? So for example, they might develop a tool to give to development teams to find problems like X, or we would change our training, or they were really good at what they did, and they were also great at communicating, so that mere blondes, for example, could understand how they did what they did. I always learned from them. So I felt very fortunate to have such great people working for me and building a really good program on how do we attempt to engineer good security into products and services, because that's really important.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that more companies don't have that ethos and don't have that initiative and don't have that. We want to do it right. And I will tell you this frankly. I see most companies not building out.
Well, there's a great group
secure
called
code, not building out
I think somebody at
proper
Microsoft
code,
started it,
not
but there are a
building
lot
out
of companies
optimized code,
engaged,
that
and
kind of
basically
thing.
that's what they're focused on.
But
so they can help, comment on the proposed legislation, or just they're trying to build a better ecosystem in safe
Really?
code. And the other thing is kudos to NIST, because NIST came up with the was it NIST 800 Special Pub 800-218, which is a secure development framework. And one of the things they did is they said, well, it shouldn't be a bunch of checkboxes.
Yes.
It should be risk-based. But it was a very good document. Of course, NIST is wonderful at taking feedback from industry. I really appreciate that. They helped. Okay, here's what good looks like. Understanding there's a difference between making I'm building, all my code does is print hello world, which is a little different from I'm building code
Right.
that's going to launch nuclear weapons. I think there's a little higher security level for something like that. So they're very good at actually producing things that can help people get to better. But it's
Yeah, Hello World's important.
As I said, clearly at the front is compliance should be risk-based, because when they're not saying you have to check all the boxes, they're just trying to raise a lot of issues that it should be of concern if you're going to write code. They did a good job.
I want to sit down and have a chat with you at some point real soon. Like, oh my goodness. But I'll hit you up on LinkedIn. But anyway, so your points are very well said in this era of vibe coding, which, by the way, that's the weirdest name for something. Just my own personal thing. I make fun of it every chance I get. Okay. But in this era of vibe coding, the idea of secure code, the idea of proper coding to meet the needs of the use case, right, is one that is, I think, sadly neglected. And Larry's comment about peer review and review of vibe created, I don't know how do you say that, is a difficult one. The answer is proper coding with a proper process, with a proper system, and in my opinion. And safe code may be a way to get there. There may be other ways to get there, but I think that if we don't build out the ways for us to have, and I think these problems are intersected, by the way, if we don't build out ways to bring in new people to read code and learn how to code properly,
one of the things
we're just going to devolve into crappy code built by crappier and crappier AIs.
You do need to run static analysis against it, because you can't assume that it's perfect. And again, I'm not saying that anybody writes perfect code. Okay, I might be able to do print hello world without messing it up. But that would be part of it. And then I know there were discussions about integrating analysis into that. And I said, well, that's not bad either. I'm not saying it would be perfect, but if you find it earlier and fix it earlier, that's a good thing. So at least whatever you're generating doesn't mean it's perfect, but you have less stuff to look at to go, fix and address or whatever if you're doing it earlier in the cycle. And that's a good thing. So again, something doesn't have to be perfect to be useful, but you do need to be aware of, well, how do we get to, and that was always my discussion sometimes with government people, which is, well, just in general, is how do you get to better? How do you get to better? Either do the most good or avoid the worst bad, realizing that time, money, and qualified people are scarce resources. So you want to optimize the use of resources rather than saying, well, I'm going to check 28 boxes. Well, which are the ones that you really do need to check?
Amen.
And maybe you don't need to check all 28. But you shouldn't just ignore them. You should be making thoughtful decisions about how do I, if I have a paint chip on a building, I don't need to fix the paint chip before I move people into it. But if I forgot the rebar or the seismic bracing, which is required in California because it's a seismic zone, oopsie, okay, you can't let the building go out like that.
Me? No, I just.
It's time to shut up now.
Are you drinking your
taking
wine
a nap
here?
over there or what?
The wine that you brought. I'm assuming you brought one.
It's important to get enough fruit in the diet. Everyone knows this.
Yeah, so we like our fruit somewhat fermented and aged. So no, actually, I've just been, like I said, sometimes just let's get out of the way and let her talk.
And other times it's like, okay, well, we got to cut her off now.
So
Yeah. No, Mary, and I think one of the other things that we've talked about a lot of stuff that I knew you were over here and wanted you to comment on was around the now entry level requires 5 to 7 years of experience, and we kind of jumped about that. Like, what do you see in the job market look like?
I don't know how things are going to change.
Hiring into places like Oracle
I feel
for
badly.
Stuff.
I think of a young woman who's somebody I used to, who's a peer in cybersecurity introduced me to. And just the depression of not being able to get a good job. And I also think about, how do I put this? There was a few years ago, there was a program put into place to make a better effort to recruit talented people from universities. And I was initially sort of, maybe not in favor because a lot of my team was more senior, but then we got this great talent, great interns. I mean, they just fabulous. I mean, good communicators and different viewpoints. And we would start, we actually made offers to some of them. And I said, I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong. It has nothing to do with age. It's talent comes in a lot of different forms. Some talent is someone's been around a long time, they've got expertise. And some talent is they've come through a university program. They have different perspectives. They have, maybe newer insights, and they're really hardworking, talented, bright people. And I feel badly because I know that the unemployment rate is higher now for a lot of computer science graduates. And so we still need people who understand this stuff. I mean, I just kind of joke God has a sense of humor, because I didn't like computers when I had to deal with them, in undergraduate and grad school. I did take a C programming class to prove I could do it. I did get an A+. Okay. But that doesn't make me the talented developer that these people are. Pardon? Yeah.
Wait, you
Okay, I
programmed
remember
with the
card
stone
decks
chisels and
paper
tablets?
tapes. I was 2 at the
You
time.
programmed with the stone
Remember that.
chisels and tablets like Lee did?
But so the point is, talent comes in a lot of different forms. I feel really badly for these graduates who
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
with
I
a high
couldn't
unemployment
resist.
rate for them. I hope that something changes so that this talent is
Yep.
properly utilized, because it comes in lots of different forms. There's new stuff coming down the pipeline. I was really happy to have people come in with different perspectives, new perspectives. I didn't think of that. They did. That's a good idea.
They were useful. The hardest part I found with new perspective people is when they bring up for the umpteenth time the thing we decided was a really bad idea, and not to suck all the joy out of the room and kill their desire to work for you. And I did that by mistake one time. That I'm never going to do that again. Figure out what they see, and maybe if they got a new take at it, let them roll. In addition to everything else they're doing.
Yeah, that's right. And that's kind of when people talk about diversity. I said one of the things that to me,
nice to get new
diversity is the
perspective.
most
It's nice to get
important.
fresh perspective.
Talent,
The
which comes in lots of different forms, and viewpoint. Because if I were stupid enough to hire people who are clones of me, I would magnify my own worst tendencies.
hell yeah.
So I always would tell people who work for me, I said, feel free to disagree, make a good case, because I'm not right about everything. So if they can voice their concerns, say, well, I think we should do it this way, or maybe this is more important, you get to a better place, because people are free to express their concerns or better ideas. That's what you do. If you don't have that, then you're gonna end up with a monolithic organization, and you might end up all making the same wrong decision. That's not a good place to be.
Yeah, I know.
Now you need to say yes.
You mean
people
yes
to be
men are
inclusive.
bad? God, some people.
But that's the point.
You'll never make it as a top executive
there's
unless
a
you have
difference
sycophants.
between, and what I always would say, that there's a difference between somebody making an executive
Oh, wow. That was a good point. Good
I'm
point.
gonna
Thank
raise
you.
my objections, and they make an executive decision. If I don't agree with it, what are my choices? I carry it out to the best of my ability.
Right.
Or I resign on principle if I disagree strongly. What I don't do is undermine it, because an executive or somebody higher, they have the right to make a decision that I may not agree with. And I worked for this great boss for a long time, and I have to say, whenever I would say, well, we could do A or B, and I recommend B, and he would pick A, I can't think of a single time he didn't turn out to be right. But he heard me out, and then he made a decision, and it wasn't the one I recommended, but turned out to be the right one. It worked. So another reason to trust him.
That's how we learn. We learn from failure, and not necessarily that you failed, but that you had a different idea. Yes, this is the way it works. This is the way we learn and grow into executives.
That's the other thing, is he made principled decisions. And I never felt
Beautifully
there was
said, Mary Ann.
anything
Thank you.
unethical, untoward. It's a business decision. And I felt there was somebody I really enjoyed working for, because I always learned from him, including he made this decision versus that decision. And the other thing is, when he would give me feedback, I really paid attention, not just because he was my boss, there is that, but because really smart. So it says, I think you should consider this or do that. I really paid attention because I knew what he was talking about, and it made me better.
Oh.
Well, thank you. I said I should show.
Good stuff.
That's great advice.
Good stuff. Mary Ann, thank you.
I'm glad you guys let me bring her in.
Oh, it's fine. You're right.
These are
Feel free to
awesome.
stick around and listen to the stories, man. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
No, she's awesome. Mary Ann, thank you. You're awesome. This was amazing. And I'm serious. I want to chat with you at some point.
Yeah. And no, it's always great when we get a chance to have that surprise guest. What was it? Last week? No, the week before that. We started talking about digital safes. And next thing you know, oh, hey, I can call Deviant and next thing you know, Deviant
And we walked away from
Deviant
that
Home
show
was
with a
on the show,
recommendation of a
and
book
we
to
spent the
read
next
called
half hour
Safecracker,
talking about locks,
which was
and
really
safes
good.
and
The
similar
guy who
types
wrote
of
it,
things. So it's
not only
always
an
great.
awesome safecracker, but also a good author, tells a
Yes.
great story. Oh my gosh, yes. And also
Great
very
storyteller.
Quick, not very
Oh,
quick,
it's a great
also
story, isn't it?
differentiation between
Yeah.
a lockpicker and a safecracker,
Yeah.
which is cool. They are very different professions, but just an amazing stories about what he had to do. Holy crap.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So if you haven't read it, just Safecracker by Luke McComey. It was the one from 2 weeks ago.
Dave?
Not Pyro, just to be clear.
Correct. Yeah, Luke McComey. It was McComey, but maybe it wasn't Luke. But
I don't think it was Luke.
Because, dude, you know Pyro?
Yes, I know
Joke.
Pyro.
There's a joke there.
Yeah.
There's a joke there. All right, hey, let's throw a couple news stories here and here. I know I had one that I wanted to get to that was just
Which one,
absolutely
Mary?
off the wall, kind of fun.
Which one?
But there was another one before that, so if you don't mind if I steal two of them. The first one was my story number 9 that I added at the end, the vulnerability that killed free Wi-Fi Secure.
Pop it in here.
So free Wi-Fi Secure was basically an open hotspot network, and it looks like it was in France.
No, that's not the right one.
Basically, when you started running out of metered service for your cellular, you could hop over to free Wi-Fi Secure, and it would automatically authenticate you to the free Wi-Fi Secure network, create keys to encrypt your Wi-Fi network. And it did so by using the EAP protocol, EAP-SIM. And I didn't encounter a lot of folks using EAP-SIM a lot, but EAP-SIM effectively, what it does, instead of having to do this whole exchange of keys in the air, kind of like WPA2 pre-shared key does with nonces and so forth, it leverages the secure keys on your SIM card, just the same way the cellular network does.
Oh, God. Seriously?
Yep. But in the case of this particular network, for what is it called? Free Wi-Fi Secure. As part of this exchange, it required to have a username as part of EAP-SIM. And as far as the username that was used for EAP-SIM, it was the user's full IMSI at wlan.mnc015.mcc such at 3gppnetwork.org. In the clear, in phase 1, in step 1 of the authentication via EAP-SIM, it sent the username of IMSI at this domain.
Are you serious?
Serious.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know this. The guy who wrote this article is the author of Binwalk.
Is he?
Yeah. I just saw the bio. So the guy who wrote this article, Craig.
No,
Hefner,
number 8. One
says
before.
he's the author of Binwalk.
No. Different article.
You said number 9.
Sorry, number 8.
Oh,
yeah.
I was reading the Pixie Dust exploit. My bad.
I will.
It was still a good article.
I will happily talk about the
IMSI,
Pixie Dust
Larry.
exploit, but I will definitely be getting on my rant seat for that one.
Oh yeah, no joke.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So the IMSI is a unique number assigned to your SIM card that is unique per SIM card.
Presumably, it's not
that is
something you want
identifying your
broadcast,
device, your specific SIM card, your device to the network. Correct, because it uniquely identifies you and now can be used to track you, and if recovered, can start to be used to authenticate to the cellular network for gaining access for
why don't you just leak your social security number as long as they're at it, right?
Signaling protocol underlying
I'm
cellular
sorry.
and so forth.
Let's cut to the chase. Mary Ann, it's close.
Yeah.
You know the SIM swapping stuff that they do nowadays? This is basically, if I have your IMSI number, I can just get everything. I don't need to swap you. I can just I get it as well as you. It's ugly. So the handset has a number. It's the IMEI. The SIM card has a number, the IMSI number.
here we just
and then your
gave
account
all
is
the
linked to the
clear.
IMSI number, which is linked to the IMEI number. That's how they link your account to the SIM card to the handset. Okay. And if you get the IMSI number and I know it's you, which I can, then guess what?
Oh, don't worry about
I
that
get all your
code that-
texts.
to authenticate
Oh,
to
oh,
my,
you know that
bank
MFA over
account or
SMS.
whatever.
Don't worry
Oopsie.
about it. We'll take care of it for you.
Yeah.
That would be mean. Oh my God. Like totally. Sorry.
Yep. Exactly.
Wait till I get the
Exactly.
one-time password for a Tinder account. I'm going to have all kinds of
Yeah. Don't do
Gnarly,
that. That's
dude.
that's not fair. Yeah. That's not.
Shell, Josh says you need to smack me.
Ooh.
Shell smack him.
I'm a
Smack
smacker
him now.
by proxy.
All right, never mind. He'll suffer more if you don't.
Yeah.
Josh says you need to
Alternative,
smack me.
Mary Ann, you're allowed to smack him
Wow.
too. So
That's
I
fine.
think
That
I think
works.
Shell will. I think
No, I
Shell will
was going to
grant those
compromise
privileges.
Mary Ann's Tinder's account.
No.
He was asking for a Tinder
No,
account.
I'm only on ritualcoot.com.
If you
So-
don't have a G5, don't.
What kills me,
Lee's playing the Mormon house husband
Oh,
tonight.
good. Nice.
if the planes are
When in
rocking,
Idaho.
cater it.
Now I told you I live with an
Aw.
animal, much younger man who's an animal in bed.
Aw.
It's my dog.
All right. Yeah.
He also sheds all over the house.
And he licks my ankles though, right?
Ah, that's good.
Okay. No, anyway, so back to the IMSI. This is cool. This is really kind of disturbing.
Hey, you know,
Whatever turns you on.
Yeah, we do.
So
we do.
so
do
here's the
not judge.
kicker. Here's the kicker. You've got this incredibly unpleasantly stupid system that
Yep.
that emails your MC number in the clear.
Yep.
You've got a system that is going to designed to be bad. And as going back to Mary Ann's comments about good software and bad software, and yet it takes them 9 to 10 years to fix this stuff, even after finding out about it.
Well, no, they only found out about it in recently. The author of this stuff was like arguably one of the first people to sort of really inspect and notice that this was happening and reported
really?
it, and gave them time to fix. They had already begun to deprecate in this particular network. They'd already begun to deprecate the use and the new access points that were being distributed had it disabled and didn't have it a feature set anymore. So yeah, they were already deprecating it. They said free boxes across the network would receive a firmware update that would disable free Wi-Fi by October 1st, 2025, which is why we are seeing this story today, because it should be deleted from that. Now that said,
Today.
EPSIM is not always used in this manner, in that their implementation leveraged the IMSI in clear text as part of
So we're not saying each SIM
as
is
part
bad.
of the
We're saying this
authentication
implementation
mechanism
of
for
each SIM
this
is
particular network
bad.
implementation.
Okay.
Oh, so but
Correct.
this implementation is bad. Yeah.
Correct.
You mean like my
Typically,
static key?
cryptographic algorithms are pretty good. It's the
Yeah.
implementation
Yeah, I
that
thought so.
suck most of the time.
Yep.
And by the way, today is the default. Oh, shut up. Today is the day that that every single free Wi-Fi secure is supposed to be disabled.
Correct.
This is really cool. Happy birthday, free Wi-Fi being actually more secure. Bravo to them.
Yeah.
And give them kudos. The CISO of the free Wi-Fi company, RSSI in French, actually responded and talked to the researcher and worked out a proper disclosure and
Because in a way,
patching
he just got
plan.
called that his,
like
his baby
this
was
is
ugly.
cool. This is the
But-
right way to do things. Kudos. Major kudos.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he fixed it. Good for him.
Yeah. I also love the one that after confirming the issue, I reached out to Free, the company, by email through the security.txt. Yes, some people actually use this
It's
thing.
really good to respect researchers. I
A
remember
vulnerability
we used to
disclosure
have
plan?
that.
Oh my goodness, what an
Yeah.
idea.
Again,
Yeah.
created okay, here's how you contact us, put on the site, and processes to respond within, end business days, like short,
we remember too.
and keep people informed. And you got to respect them. Researchers, I respect researchers. They help make your product better. They do, make it easy for them. Don't, demonize people. And yes, I know there are issues, but still, if you be respectful, like make it easy to contact, respond quickly. If somebody follows your rules, like don't put exploit code out in 2 days, then give them credit when you put a fix out and say, what so and so wishes to thank the following for their reporting, and just be respectful of these professionals, and they are. There's a difference between a respected researcher and somebody who's trying to break into systems and trash everything. Those are very different. They're not the same. Make it easy for them.
Oh, yep, absolutely. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Wi-Fi, because I'm now going to steal 3 stories.
Go
one
for
that
it.
I have now is number. Oh gosh, which is it? Number
Please
5
don't
or
stalk
number
me.
10?
What's your number
great
10?
question. I will have to look. It's the one that Lee did with the PDF that Josh, you said. It was so mine. So it'd be number 5 then. The Pixie, the Pixie Dust attack still prevalent in 2025. So it
Number
might,
9.
yeah. Oh, number
So
9.
for the rest of the
number 9.
viewers, Larry had posted 2 stories,
right.
and
I need to
somehow
do a
the titles
refresh
didn't
because
get in
of
there. And when I
change and
edited the
stuff.
titles, it
Yeah.
renumbered his
Yep,
stories. I just
Yep.
was trying to add the titles.
Yep. It's all good. All right. So my story number 9, the lingering threat of the Pixie Dust attack. I when I saw the story, I didn't think too much of it. I was like, yeah, duh. Like it's probably still around. That it's probably in a whole bunch of legacy firmware and all that type of stuff. Pixie Dust has been around since 2014. Against the attacking the WPS protocol for secure Wi-Fi setup, as it were, where you need to type in a PIN on your device, and it uses the PIN as some input to a Diffie-Hellman key exchange to create a secure tunnel to be able to send your Wi-Fi password over the air.
Off kind of thing,
Right? You don't have to remember the passwords anymore. You just need to type in this 8-digit PIN.
Yeah. You don't even need to type it in. That's the whole point. You just press a button and it transmits it. So you don't have to type in a password at all.
Yeah, so there's multiple ways, and one of them is push button. One of them is push button, and it will send it. The other one, you can do it with you can initiate it with a PIN, using a PIN on the client device, without having to do the push button. And what the researcher Dominique Bongard found was that there were a bunch of issues. One, you could brute force the PIN and how the PIN was constructed, and so forth and so on. But what he also found is that there were many implementations of the Diffie-Hellman key derivation that used, quote, not random pseudo-random number generation.
Like just 0.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, all you needed to do was capture an exchange, and instead of spending multiple hours brute forcing this in real time over the air, you could do
Wasn't an early
you could recover the
version
PIN in a fraction of a second.
What's the
Yeah.
HTTPS in a browser? And they used 2 out of 3 things weren't random. It was the machine. I sorry, I don't recall the exact term. The machine identifier, which is unique. Time of day, which is kind of predictable. And then there was another piece, but basically 2/3 of it was predictable. So what a surprise! It was hackers with
Easy to
disability
figure out.
support to be able to figure out what. Sorry, able to figure out that the random number wasn't really that random. Sorry.
No.
Oh my God, you're making me cry, Lenny.
So this particular issue was a company went and allegedly went and looked at a bunch of firmware, and I say allegedly because this PDF on the release, when I first saw about the story, it was like, oh yeah, WPS Pixie Dust still a problem in Wi-Fi devices, and I kind of missed on the modern firmware bit. But as the news articles were coming out, they said, oh yeah, the report doesn't target any one particular vendor. There are a number of vendors that are vulnerable. But when they finally released the report, it reads like a marketing thing. And it does. And they said, yeah, we tested 24 products across 7 manufacturers. We found a number of them that were still vulnerable. Many of them took many years to patch, in some cases in close to a decade to patch this.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was the 9 to 10 years that it took to patch. I'm sorry.
Yep,
I conflated.
some vendors 9 to 10 patch to patch. And some are still releasing firmware to this day, current supported versions that are still vulnerable to this attack. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And then, so the news articles were saying all these things, and we tested a bunch of vendors, and we're not going to tell you.
Didn't
what
they wind up listing
models,
one of them?
We're not going to tell you which firmware versions, and we're not going to tell you which vendors we tested. And they listed one vendor out of the 7.
Without complete.
Yep. And no models and no firmware about any of that type of stuff.
Does anybody actually use WPS?
I mean, it's like, are you shocked? Isn't that kind of like
they could just take it away and I would never care.
It's a showdown.
Yeah, you won't find it on Showdown. Exactly. Yeah, and Sam, I think most of the routers that I find now have WPS enabled by default. I mean, they started doing that in about 2015 or right around 2014 when they found this stuff to be broken. But you can still turn it on. It still comes as a feature set in your access points. I want to say the access point that I pull out of the box that still has support for it, but it's not turned on by default. So there are still people out there that probably do use it, and largely there for backwards compatibility. But yeah, so I think that also speaks to some of the data that they released too. Is that maybe the firmware supports it, but you actually have to go in and turn it on, and that it's been noted for many years that it's been vulnerable. Again, granted, my mom would never have known that it was vulnerable, but so.
I remember when these WPS attacks first came out like 12 years ago, and the attack was Reaver and it took 16 hours. There were Cisco products where you could disable WPS and that stopped you from using it, but did not block the vulnerability. So maybe disabling is not enough of a countermeasure.
Interesting.
Sometimes there are challenges in
this case. It probably is because you really have to have live packet captures.
If it's an architectural change, then that's
all right.
Frequently difficult to backport and make it work. And sometimes there are cases. I'm not saying this was in this case because I don't obviously have the knowledge that you all do. But sometimes if we're going to upgrade this, but it's in hardware or firmware, and it ends up bricking the device. So you're kind of in a no-win situation. But you would hope what at least would happen is, we understand maybe we can't fix something, but maybe you probably want to deprecate older versions faster. And I know that's complicated too. There's not necessarily a really obvious answer, but if you know that something's bad, and particularly when it's kind of coming out, what are you going to? I mean, what's the least worst thing you can do, or the best thing you can do?
We can't. They can't yank Actually, do current devices come with WPS anymore?
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
So if they are still running WPA2, they can still have WPS. WPA3 has deprecated in favor of device provisioning protocol or Wi-Fi Easy Connect.
So Wiggle will let you search by encryption status.
Yes.
So WPA with no location, just a basic search is 3.
And for the record, Josh, WPA does not equal WPS.
I know that.
Okay.
But I'm having fun here, okay? 40 million roughly.
Point her over into that window.
Yep.
This is not one friendly.
Just out of curiosity.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm feeling triggered.
So
40 million. Still.
Yeah.
You got to imagine some fraction of them are.
Yeah, and that's just WPA. There's probably about 91 million WPA2 networks out there.
I mean, let's be honest. There's also 44 million WEP networks.
Will never die, I gather.
Yep, there are.
That's terrifying, dude.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Well,
how long ago did you write about that,
WRT
Larry?
Which one?
Book with Paul.
WEP.
What do you mean? How long did I? Oh God.
Mine's back in the
God.
bedroom, so
Thank you,
I
Lee.
don't-
That was a more
I-
coherent version of that question.
I don't know that, and it's unfortunate. I can't go look at the copyright date because it's buried under stuff over there. Yeah, mine's. Yeah, it's your book to read when you fall asleep. Right?
Okay, let's put it this way: if it's buried in the geological strata of your office,
It was a long time ago.
it's been a long bloody
It's
time.
It's
Okay,
close to 20 years ago
Cool.
because Paul and I started
So-
writing that about the time we started the podcast. So, yeah,
and there's still 44 million
you know,
people using that old web security.
Yep.
So even if you write good code for the time, 20 years later, is it still good code? That's a big problem right now.
yeah. All right, let's wrap up because Tyson's going to yell at us because we're a little bit over time. But I want to make sure I catch this last one. Put us up
Go for
on a high note. And it is my story number 5. The correct
Oh,
story.
dude,
number
this
5.
was awesome.
I saved a PNG image to a bird, which I built as you can store your backups on a bird, and effectively what this this researcher does, who was dealing with a lot of sound, did effectively spectrum painting. Some of the things that we do with software-defined radio to vary the radio frequency so that when you're capturing it and it's falling down on that waterfall display, it can draw a picture. And effectively what he did was very similar types of things in that he took like a stereogram and turned it into audio. So he took a simple cartoon drawing of a bird, and he turned it into an audio representation. And he played that audio to, I can't remember the type of bird. Let me see if I will come up here. He played it to oh boy, I can't remember. He played it to a specific bird and who was really good at sound mimicry.
Oh,
And
cool.
playing this audio over and over again got the bird to mimic this same sound. And I want to say it's around the 17-minute mark or so in the video that they finally ended up, they couldn't get the bird to repeat it, but at some point in the background, he accidentally caught the bird repeating the audio. And when analyzed on the waterfall spectrogram display, it was a
Total cost $40.
really near perfect representation.
So please don't
of
tell me he's going
the
to teach a
image
bird bad 70s
that
music.
was played
We
back
don't
by
need
the
to hear
bird.
Muskrat Love
Yeah,
from birds.
total
I'm
cost
just saying. Other than
$40.
that, this sounds really good. No, this is cool.
Oh no! Yeah, no. Yeah. So as they did some more analysis on, like, he looked at it and like, okay, so if we got this bird to represent this image, we could store data as represented as an image, like a QR code. And as they were going through, some of that representation and did some math, and they were saying, yeah, there's, but if we did some compression and maybe a little bit longer on that type of stuff, we could probably get a small chunk of data stored in the cloud. I mean, the birds.
That's pretty interesting.
Like that's kind of fascinating. That yeah,
that's cool.
yeah. Let's see if I can find the section
Mary Ann, and our timer is about to run out.
where he talked about how much math was involved. But the fact that the fact that he went and thought about, oh, well, we can use sound to do this thing, but sound can also be representative of ones and zeros, that now we could potentially get this as data, was kind of fascinating. It's at about the 18-minute mark where he talks about
Mind blowing. That's pretty
converting
cool.
it to ones and zeros and being able to store data in a bird effectively. Yep. So crazy stuff.
It's my
All right.
fault. I talked too
Hey,
much.
with that, it's time. We're a little bit over, but
Well,
it's not as long as we're over with Paul. So no. It's always Paul's fault that we're over and he's not here. So we'll give it to somebody completely different to take us out tonight. Josh, Take us out.